when pastors fear men more than God, is what I'm talking about right here. And when pastors do fear men more than God, that pastor's in trouble. You don't fear men more than God. I like the scenario in the book of Acts where Peter said, it is better to obey God than man. Because if there's a pastor who's running who's overseeing a congregation, he fears men more than he does God. You know, Jesus said himself, don't fear him who can kill your body, but fear him who could cast both body and soul into hell. I'm not saying anybody's going to hell about this, but it's just Jesus just letting us know the priority is to fear him. And so pastors should fear God more than they fear men, meaning reverence men, reverencing God more than they reverence men. Never put anything before God. And so what we find in some of our churches, when the pastor fears men more than God, we see big time compromise taking place, and the people start running the ministry instead of the pastor. And all types of things begin to happen in that ministry as well when pastors fear men more than God. That pastor has to do what God tells him to do. And he got to do it in spite of what their denomination. I know you got Kojic and Baptist, Presbyterian and Lutheran and African, Methodist, Episcopalian, and all these different denominations. And they got headquarters too, dictating to all the pastors who are overseeing those churches as to how they have to do things. But you know what? When you got a direct word from God, you can let your overseers know, but you know God is pressing you and pushing you to obey him. You better obey God, because sometimes headquarters might not, actually your headquarters should be Jesus. It should be the Holy Ghost. He is your actual headquarters. It's a shame that you would have to go through man in order to obey an ordinance or an order or command of God. So, hey, when pastors fear men more than God, then they got an issue here. That man he's not standing on his own 2 feet. He's like, he's subjecting himself to what men say, and he's gonna compromise what God has for him, for his ministry, for his people, because he's afraid of what some man said. And I'm not just talking about what overseer said or just people in his flock. Sometimes, because somebody gives a lot of money, that pastor will allow that person to do whatever they want to do and never preach a sermon that should be directly applied to that person's life. But they won't preach it, even though it's been burning in their spirit. They won't preach it because that person will know that message is for them. And God wanted them to preach that message, because a little leaven leavens the whole lump. So if they let that person come around doing what they do, and another person will come forward, the whole church does whatever they want to do, simply because now they bought that pastor. They give so much money. The pastor fears them or them leaving over God. And that pastor needs to be content and secure with who he is. Don't sweat what these people say, what they think, how much they give. You obey God, pastor. Yeah, if you're a pastor, you obey God, and don't you fear any man in your congregation. You reverence God and him alone. He's the one, what it's all about. He's the one to whom we hearken to, and the one who we have to answer to. Yeah, so you be strong, and you stand firm on what you know the Lord told you to do. Even if you have to leave that denomination, that's okay too. Yes, it is. You might have to. I might be speaking to somebody right now. But that's what you have to do. And this, again, is what happens when pastors fear men more than God. Subscribe to BFABP and keep on tuning in and hearing some of these things that I'm sharing. It's a tremendous blessing to thousands of people all around the world. So subscribe right now. It'll be a great blessing to you.